And what we've seen since 2010 is about a 0.5% decrease in the number of students suspended. So while I'm encouraged by that, it's just not good enough yet that we have any children suspended, so we keep working towards that target. We've had 5 fewer exclusions than this time last year, but over the period since 2010, that's been halved. So we've been really pleased that our strategies are starting to take some effect, but there's more to be done, and we're going to continue to push hard. I don't really mind if the data goes up or it goes down. What we want to see is students getting on with their work and teachers being able to teach without disruption. Look, there is a slight increase around physical assault and intimidation of staff. That's not on. I've said to teachers, if that occurs in schools, they should go and seek the police assistance. It's criminal behaviour. We'll be right behind them. I back them 100%. Teachers should be able to teach feeling safe and getting on with their job. But at the same time, we've got a small group of students, a very small group of students, who have a number of issues and a range of issues, and we'll continue to support them. But let's be clear, teachers should be able to teach and feel safe about that. We see more physical intimidation and assault in the community, and schools reflect that, unfortunately. We see a lack of respect for authority in the community. I think we need to think about this as a broader community issue. But to what we have done, we've got 12 behaviour centres. We have more psychs, we have more chaplains, we have more training for teachers, we have restraint training for teachers. Unfortunately, these things are necessary, and we're doing more of that. Now, our results, have shown a slight improvement, but there still are some concerns, and there's a line in the sand for kids. When you come to a public school, we expect you to behave. But there's only so many things we can do. We'll continue to look at new ideas. We have some schools looking at, for example, in-school suspension. That old idea that it's okay to have a day off if you're suspended. People should be ashamed if they're suspended. Parents ought to be concerned if children are suspended. We're certainly concerned because it indicates that all of the things we have in place for that child, is not making the difference. So we'll continue to work individually. It's very hard to look at it as a global problem. We're talking about individual kids who have problems in their lives. We've got more mental health issues in schools. So we continue to look at new initiatives all of the time. Schools are developing their own initiatives, and we're supporting them to do that. We know the problem. We know that there are more mental health issues. We know that some children aren't supported to do the right thing. We know that some children don't even understand what it means to show respect and authority for people. So we could have a task force looking right across the community about better respect, about better behaviour, and at one level that'll be an interesting discussion. But you look right around Australia, we're doing the same things that most other states and schools are doing, but if people come forward with good ideas, I'd rather spend less time talking about it as a task force. If people have new and different ideas, I'm happy for them to come to me direct. Our teachers have the authority, like anyone else does, if they are assaulted or intimidated, to treat that as a criminal activity, go to the police and have the child or the parent charged with that activity. That's open to anyone. But at the same time, let's remember we're talking about children, and they need a lot of support, and some of them need more care and more community help because they do have other issues. It's not teachers usually by nature and by heart are worried about children, worried about their lives, and sometimes worried about the effect it might have in their future if they make such a report. But what I would say to teachers is I back you to do it, because sometimes that's when the most support can come to a child, when it's brought to a head. So some schools, remembering that suspensions and exclusions are used when you've exhausted all other methods to bring the behaviour back in line, including highly individualised behaviour management plans. And so sometimes schools, before they get to a formal suspension under the Education Act, they will use an in-school suspension. Because for some students, having a suspension at home is difficult to exercise if there is no one at home who would take it seriously. And I say to parents, if the school comes to you about your child's behaviour, please take it seriously. It's often a signal that there are other things going on in that child's life. We want to work with you, we want their behaviour to be back on board, because poor behaviour very often indicates and leads to poor results. And we want to get in front of that, not having to suspend and exclude when things are going bad. Very few children and students are suspended more than once. So that's why we're encouraged that as a measure, Unfortunately, we have to use it, but as a measure, it is reasonably effective in making sure, bringing to the attention of children that this behaviour is unacceptable. Very few students are repeat suspensions, and while there are a few, mostly that's not the case.